Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to today's reading video. In today's reading, we are going to be picking up on some of the collective energies and doing a channeling to hopefully provide some more clarity or guidance for those of you tuned into this reading video. If you found this video, I do feel that it's for a reason, and I feel that there may be a specific message for you in this video. Now, something that I'm getting right away as I say that is that for some of you listening, the message that you receive that's the most important might not actually be something literal from the words themselves, but what those words or frequencies trigger within you. And kind of expanding on that idea, I got the name Sophia for someone, but expanding on that, it's as though a message is coming through to be very selective about what frequencies you are surrounding yourself with. And everything, everyone, every object, every substance, every environment emits its own frequency. Because what I'm getting here is that your frequency environment is incredibly important, especially at this time, because it seems to be, again, not so much about the literal effect on the surface of those frequencies that are being emitted around you, but it's actually more so about what those frequencies are triggering within you. And I'm hearing triggering realizations, inspiration. It's interesting. You can tell a lot about what kind of frequencies you are around, and you can really define kind of for yourself what those frequencies are, sometimes not just by interacting with them in the moment or looking at them on the surface, but often we can tell the most about the frequencies around us through how they affect us over the course of time. And a strong message that was coming through, which, by the way, I can already tell based on the downloads I was receiving prior to even clicking the record button, that this reading is going to be one that is very quantum in nature. So maybe get some kind of a hot beverage or something to drink or enjoy while you listen. I personally have some coffee here, but I feel like these are messages that really need to be kind of settled into, because they are going to be more quantum in nature than most of my readings, although many of the recent readings have been more quantum. But what I'm getting from that message as well is that someone here listening is actually dealing with particular environments, people, or things that have to be kind of interpreted through allowing them to settle. And I'm getting that people around you may try to rush this process, or society may try to rush this process to get you to make snap decisions or snap judgments before you intuitively feel ready. But the thing about how you seem to be picking up on and interpreting energy at this time is that it seems to be this very gradual, automatic, intuitive process that might even be judged as a slower process by people who are observing it. What I'm getting is that there are certain people, energies, or environments that you almost have to allow to kind of sit with you for a while, that you have to allow to settle, to kind of sense how they're wearing on you. And in fact, this may often be your experience in dating, in friendships, in job environments, in relationships, where the way that you can best determine what an energy is, how it's affecting you, and whether you want to keep relating with it in that way is through allowing yourself to connect with it, experience it, and then kind of to allow that energy to settle. Now, for some of you very specifically, there may be new people, things, or opportunities in your life. For some reason, I'm seeing one of those like all-you-can-eat buffets at a restaurant. And it's almost as though there is this buffet of choices and options. There seems to be a lot of variety when it comes to potential pathways, timelines, people, opportunities, things that are available to you. And so within those choices, it's calling forth from you this higher level of discernment. And I'm hearing you're capable of discerning in that way. So never doubt your capability. Even if people around you gaslight your process, or if society gaslights you in the sense that it's more traditional to make these decisions more quickly, I'm also hearing it's okay to change your mind. So for some of you, you might feel guided to explore a particular opportunity, environment, thing, energy, and then realize it's affecting your energy in a way that feels detrimental to you, in the way that it's wearing on you. And you may decide to pull back very suddenly. For some reason, I just saw a tiger. So I'm going to see if there is any symbolism in this. You guys know I like to look up these symbols as they come up. You know, it's funny because I actually saw a post earlier today that was also about a tiger. And it was about how to humans, tigers appear to be orange and don't seem to blend into their environment because of our ability to perceive that range of colors. But to many other animals, tigers actually seem to visibly blend in with their environment. So they're harder to perceive because these animals don't have the same range of color perception. So there's some kind of message in here about other people's ability to perceive you. Wow, I just got a wave of chills. Okay, so to some people who are not capable of perceiving this higher dimension of frequencies, or we could say it's the equivalent of being able to perceive different colors. It's almost like people are colorblind to you when you are like this beautiful rainbow of color and light and energy. And there are some people who simply are not capable of perceiving that, not because it's not what you are, but because they have I'm hearing a limited depth perception. I'm not sure why that's coming through here specifically. So there's something about you feeling almost invisible in certain situations or around certain people, as though you're working so hard to try and get yourself to be seen for what you are. But certain individuals quite simply don't have the evolved tools and the resources yet to be able to perceive you for all that you are. But I'm hearing that you look extraordinary, energetically speaking, frequency speaking, to people who do have the ability to perceive those higher levels of frequency and energy. The tiger can also symbolize strength, courage, fearlessness, commanding respect, and admiration. So I'm getting that from those of you who can perceive you in your full, I'm hearing your beauty, your power, your magnetism, but really it's just who you are. Just like that tiger does appear orange to humans that are able to see it, you really are this admirable being that is radiating this powerful light and energy. It's just that some people are not capable of fully perceiving that. And I didn't really expect the reading to go this direction at all. But the first line that came out in a download as I was preparing for this reading was the importance of closing the door. I just got another wave of chills. I specifically heard that Taurus energy might be involved here, but this also could be about stability, about the need to ground and stabilize yourself through closing some kind of door. And it's interesting because these door messages actually kind of bookended the downloads that I wrote down, because that was the first line. But then the last line, well, it's not the very last line, but it's near the end. We'll get to the last line later. But near the end, I wrote down, knowing which doors to close is just as important as knowing which ones to open. So I feel as though, and I'm hearing open lines of communication. So for some of you, these open doors may be individuals that you have open lines of communication with. And maybe just like we discussed earlier, some of these individuals are people or connections or things that you felt drawn to, that you wanted to explore at some point in time. But maybe the way that some of those energies have worn on you is now beginning to feel depleting, or to kind of wear on you in a way that feels distracting or feels, I'm hearing, disruptive to your energy. And that word disruption was also a really strong word coming through. So do let me know in the comments if you've been personally experiencing some kind of disruption in your life, especially disruptions related to digital things. So disruptions related to your phone, your email, those kinds of digital lines of communication, social media. I would love to hear from you if this is something that's been happening to you, because that seemed to be coming through really strongly. And of course, one of my favorite parts of being here on YouTube is being able to share our personal experiences and thoughts and insights. So I also just wanted to take a moment to say how deeply I appreciate all of you who do leave comments. And I know that many of you share quotes or perspectives or personal experiences that you're going through, and know that by writing those comments, you are making other people feel seen and validated and so much less alone. And I don't know why I felt so guided to say that, particularly in this reading. Maybe this is actually a broader message as well for how you interact in your daily life, that in your daily life, you are that for others as well, that you are, I'm hearing a voice of reason. Interesting. That you are someone who makes other people feel more validated and more seen and more deeply understood. And I'm hearing, don't underestimate the value of that gift. Okay, so let's go ahead and circle back to this concept of closing some of these doors. So I feel as though there are almost these telepathic open lines of communication, and I'm hearing some of them appear to be inactive physically, but are still active energetically. So some of these individuals may be people that you don't actually communicate with physically on a regular basis, that you don't have much of a connection with, but there's still something happening via that telepathic, energetic line of communication that seems to be having some kind of effect on your energy. So I'm hearing actually some of these inactive lines are the most important to close out, because these are the ones that can seem deceptively unimportant, that we can kind of just leave open because we think since they aren't being utilized physically, they must not be affecting us energetically. But when we don't close out these energetic lines that have been inactive, it can actually really cause this subtle drain on our energy that can affect us over time. When I mentally asked how to close out these lines, I saw sage. So this could be literally to sage your space, but this also could be symbolic. It might be more so about cleansing, doing something to cleanse or ground your own energy. I'm hearing coming back into your own energy is the strongest form of protection. When you choose the door that you want to walk through, you automatically close all other doors that would be a deterrence or a distraction from that particular door that you have chosen. So this may be less about trying to cut certain ties or actively push certain doors shut, and it may be more about selecting the door that you want to walk through and walking through it with confidence. That kind of singular focus on something, whether it's you focusing on yourself, your self-care, your self-love, a particular vision, goal, business, dream, idea, something in your life. And I'm hearing that when you choose to walk through that door, things will begin to happen very fast. With the Knight of Swords in the upright position, I'm specifically getting that one sign you will begin experiencing almost immediately upon closing. Interesting. I meant to say choosing that door, but maybe there's also a specific door that you do have to close in order to choose this other door. But what I'm getting is that one of the first signs you'll experience when you do walk through that door that you've chosen with confidence is new opportunities will begin coming in very serendipitously into your life. Specifically, some of these seem to be coming through particular people, maybe even people in certain powerful positions or with powerful resources to offer you, who will suddenly be wanting to offer you something in the way of an opportunity that could further you in that goal or vision. I'm just hearing the hardest part is choosing the door and walking through it. But then it seems after that point, things actually begin to move really quickly. Now, on this kind of idea of the doors, I'm actually seeing two doors that are very mutually exclusive. Now, of course, this isn't always the case because we do talk a lot about how you are so beautifully multifaceted and multidimensional, and how you do have this ability to combine different aspects of yourself to express all of these beautiful facets of your being. However, in this very specific case, for someone listening, and as I always say, this won't be for everyone, so only take it if it's connecting, but I'm getting that for someone specifically, there actually are two doors in your life that are very mutually exclusive. So it may feel as though there are two things in your life pulling you two different directions, and choosing one automatically seems to close the other door. And somehow I feel as though that may have had you at some kind of a standstill for the person I'm speaking to here. I'm getting that this is about where you're putting your energy. When I talk about choosing a door, it feels less like forcing something or someone out of your life, and more like entirely and singularly focusing your attention on that door that you desire to open, shifting away from the closed door. But I'm hearing the closed door doesn't like you shifting your focus away from it. Interesting. So whoever this thing, person, or opportunity is that you're closing a door on by shifting your focus elsewhere, they can sense when you shift your focus away, and it seems to trigger a reaction in them that then causes this kind of chain reaction of triggering something in you, where there seems to be some sense of guilt or responsibility. I'm hearing a need to play out old timelines when it comes to this door. And I feel that there's just a very strong message of allowing yourself the permission to let go of the need to replay stories, timelines, connections, situations that have already fully played themselves out. I'm getting the word closure. So maybe there's this sense of needing or wanting some kind of closure from that closed door. But I'm just getting this message that your closure has come in some kind of nuanced form. It's not come to you directly, which is why you feel as though you don't have it. There's this sense of unfinished business or not having closure. But it seems like this closure has come to you just in a very nuanced and unconventional way. I'm hearing the unhappiness that you experienced there over and over again. I'm hearing reopening the wound. Like, maybe this person, thing, or situation was continuously reopening a wound, replaying a cycle with you, refusing to change. This feels like a very stubborn kind of cycle or energy. And I'm hearing that in itself was the closure. But I'm getting that seeking some kind of more direct closure sends you back into that loop over and over again, because you've already received the closure just in the form of the way that those cycles continuously repeat themselves with this person, thing, or situation, and also through just the general unhappiness that I'm getting you may have felt in that situation or around that person, the way that it felt very destabilizing or insecure in some sense, dysfunctional, but then kind of spiraling back through that over and over. I'm hearing that was the closure, but the mind is sometimes seeking this more direct form of closure on more of a conscious level. But any time that it seems that for the person I'm speaking to here, you try to go and get that closure, it sends you on this like strange, convoluted scavenger hunt. I'm not sure why those words are coming out, but I saw a frog here as well. I do want to look up the frog symbolism also. So just give me a moment to do that here. The frog can represent transformation, abundance, wealth, changing seasons. Yeah, I feel that you transformed out of the cycle. I'm getting that you grew out of it. You grew beyond it. It's like you outgrew something. That was another message I was getting in a download prior to doing this reading, is that it's almost like you were struggling with something for a really long time. Maybe it was something you were desiring to attain to, or to let go of, or to figure out. And it didn't happen all at once, but slowly it's like you outgrew something and grew into something else. And it happened just as subtly and just as gradually as a child would grow, where you don't necessarily notice the changes day to day, but then suddenly you look back months or years down the road and realize how much taller that child has become. It's the same with you. You've become so much taller, so much bigger, energetically speaking. Your energy has expanded beyond something that you were struggling with for a long time, that you were really grappling with. And it happened so subtly and yet so surely that the conscious mind here is almost doubting it, wondering, did I really outgrow this? Or am I really growing? Even though the evidence now is so clear, if you look back and do a cross comparison, and I just saw 2222 on the recording timer, a major number of alignment. You can so clearly look back and see that growth. You can see how far you've come, even at that perceptible level. And yet the conscious mind at times still seems to be doubting that the growth has either taken place or that it is still taking place. I'm hearing to trust the growing process. And part of that trust comes from looking back on how far you've come and believing that that is going to continue, that you don't have to struggle or fight against this or worry about it, but that growth is going to continue evolving you into your own next highest evolution of yourself. I'm hearing there's nothing to change but internally. So it's almost like I'm getting the sense of the conscious mind trying to latch on to something externally to change it or to make it a certain way or to force it into place. But the soul here is saying, the only thing to be changed is myself. And as I continue to grow and transform and evolve in these positive directions, as I have been, naturally, the external will reflect the internal. And that's really bringing me to another download that was coming through about things on the surface versus beneath the surface. Now, this could be the light versus the shadow. This could be the conscious mind versus the subconscious mind. This could be the exposed versus the hidden, what you show others versus what you keep to yourself. Take this however it's connecting. But I'm hearing something about striking a balance between on the surface and beneath the surface. And I literally saw someone moving between floors of a building where it's like they'd be in the upstairs where all of the windows were, where the light was, where things were out in the open. And then they go down into this downstairs area that felt more secluded and quiet and almost more like a cave, but it really felt like it represented more so the subconscious mind. And I'm hearing that both are equally important, but it's necessary to strike a balance. So for someone listening, maybe you'd found yourself recently more so on one side or the other. So either spending more time beneath the surface, in the shadow, in the subconscious, or more on the surface, in the conscious visible realm, being really active, doing a lot. And I feel that there's a message here about, I'm hearing the balance of creation lies in really balancing what you're doing on the surface versus what you're doing beneath the surface. So of course, this also could be your spiritual routines, your energetic routines versus, or combined with, I should say, more of those on the surface practices or actions, taking those inspired, aligned action steps, moving forward in some kind of a more visible way. And finding that balance here seems to really be key. I'm seeing a literal master key, and I'm getting that key will open any door here. But again, that message is coming through about the power of choosing a door and focusing on it singularly, the power of your focus. Now, I am getting a generalized message that your focus truly is your currency at this time. We talk about energy being like a currency, just like an electric current carries energy. Our energy is our currency, both in that kind of more metaphoric sense, but in a somewhat literal way as well, because every transaction in our physical world is actually an energetic transaction that's being then expressed through some kind of physical medium. And so what I'm getting here is that your currency has gone up in value dramatically, and people are aware of this. But I'm getting at times, there may be moments where you are not fully aware of it. So where you are doubting the value of your own currency or your own energy, not that you're doubting yourself, but that at times not realizing the true value of your energy and how much it's risen, you may try to interact with people the way that you used to interact with environments, situations, and the way you were accustomed to in the past. The problem is that your value of your energy has radically increased. And because of this, there are more things and people and opportunities that are being drawn to your energy in a stronger way, that are kind of vying for some of that focus and attention. Now, in the past, this may have not been as much of an issue because you may have had less of this coming in, and therefore you could afford to kind of give more of that energy away. But now I'm getting that since your energy has really increased in value, and I want to kind of clarify, this isn't any kind of a moral judgment of being better or worse at one time or another. But what I'm getting is because you've done a really deep level of inner work within yourself, you have this very pure frequency and energy that's incredibly potent, that's very strong, because you've peeled back all of the layers and many of those blockages that most people have that tend to actually dilute that pure power of our own energy. So whatever you focus upon, you will notice that things can begin to shift in that area very quickly, whether it's for yourself or someone else. And I'm getting that many of you have actually had this experience of noticing that you begin giving some positive focus to a particular person, a situation, an environment, an opportunity, and very quickly that thing begins to transform in immensely positive ways and almost begins to develop its own greater attractive power where it's pulling in more people, things, and opportunities. However, because you do have this ability, because you have this very powerful, pure, focused kind of energy, there are many people who are vying for it at this time. And these may even be a lot of those open lines of communication that we were talking about earlier, those open doors, so to speak. I'm hearing where people can pass through at will. So maybe for some of you, these are individuals that tend to kind of come in and out of your life as they please, so to speak, where sometimes they'll be connecting with you, sometimes they will distance themselves from you, which of course that's just typical friendship and relationship dynamics in some cases, but in other cases, specifically the ones I'm referencing here, this may actually be draining to you energetically, because these may be individuals that when they do come in, you find yourself, again, I'm getting that word disrupted, feeling disrupted. Another message that was coming through earlier is one way to discern whether you have a soul connection with someone, meaning they share a similar frequency to your own on that deeper core level, or whether it's more of a karmic or dissonant connection energetically, is to notice whether when you connect with them, they are disrupting your flow or dovetailing with it. So the message that I got is that someone who has a soul connection with you will actually dovetail with your flow. So when you're in a flow state and you connect with a soulmate in that process, you won't feel a disruption of your own creative energy, meaning after meeting or talking with that person, you won't feel like it's now difficult to re-access that more pure, open, creative, flowing kind of space that you were accessing prior to connecting with them. But it's the opposite for people that we have very energetically dissonant connections with, meaning there's not that same similarity on a soul level. There's more of a lack of alignment or even a karmic contract or a karmic situation. We will find that if we're in a flow state and then we connect with that person, we'll feel very disrupted even for hours or days after connecting with that particular person. It can be really difficult to kind of access that flow. So this has been such an interesting reading. I'm really excited to keep carrying this energy forward because I have several more messages that I wrote down prior to this reading in my notebook as downloads, and those have kind of been weaving into the reading as I've been following the energy here. I know this was a bit more of a unique style of reading. I don't often actually receive downloads in advance of the readings, but there was just so much coming through today that I had to write some of it down. So I would love to hear from you if you enjoyed this particular style of reading, and if you are feeling a resonance here and you do want to continue on with me to our Patreon reading, where today we basically are going to be just continuing this flow here, picking it up and continuing to channel in these directions and just seeing what unfolds and what comes through. So if that interests you, then the link to access the extended reading on Patreon is in the pinned comment and description box underneath this video. But otherwise, I am going to go ahead and close this first reading here. I am going to be pulling a Rumi Oracle card, however, to close out the reading. And the card here is Sacred Union, which is really fascinating because the reading itself hasn't really been love, relationship, or union focused necessarily. So I'm really curious what comes through in the guidebook here, but I feel it's going to relate in some kind of a powerful way. Okay, so the guidebook here says, this oracle comes to you as a portent, a sign of that which is to come, and also as a confirmation of your spiritual journey thus far. You have been working to integrate the masculine and feminine energies within. Oh, perhaps you have not used those words, but you have been attempting to find the balance between living a surrendered life and leading from the heart, and then knowing when to take the initiative to set something into motion, when to put your body, mind, and soul into getting your shoulder behind something to push. You have been working hard to surrender attachment to plans and how you think things should go. Instead, you have intended to show it up for what it is, to seek out the genius of life through unconditional acceptance, instead of judging and fearing, resisting what is. You do not seek to hide from love anymore. You have been learning step by step how to embrace it and how to allow it to embrace you. So that feels like a beautiful place to close the reading. Thank you so much again for tuning in today. I am sending you all huge amounts of love. I hope you have an amazing remainder of your day and week, and I will connect with you here again in the next reading.